Two couples, same city, same age, same dream of retiring early. One household earns $250,000 a year. The other earns $150,000. 20 years later, the lower earning couple is done. The higher earning couple has 20 more years to go. And the math behind that gap is something neither couple saw coming. The difference is not luck. It is not a side hustle, a stock tip, or a windfall inheritance. It is a single equation most financial advice never shows you. And once you understand it, you will never look at a salary figure the same way again. Let's put names to these two households. The high earners are Claire and Daniel. The lower earners are Priya and James. Same city, same starting year, same general financial literacy. They both read the right articles and opened the right retirement accounts. By month 1, they are already on completely different trajectories, and neither couple has any idea. Claire and Daniel earn $250,000 combined. That is a number most people spend their careers chasing. It places them in the top few percent of households in America. And they live accordingly. A house in a good school district, because that matters when you have kids. 2 car payments on vehicles that fit the neighborhood. Dinners out several times a week because the hours are long and they have earned the break. Private school tuition. A vacation that genuinely recharges them. None of this feels extravagant, it feels proportional. And that feeling is exactly where the trap lives. This is what behavioral economists call the parallel line trap. Income goes up, spending follows immediately, almost magnetically, not recklessness. The logical outcome of a system where every raise creates permission. Permission to upgrade the car when the old one works fine. Permission to add the premium membership. Permission to choose the more expensive school. The line never diverges. It just climbs in tandem. By the time you account for taxes and every fixed commitment they have signed, Claire and Daniel spend about $220,000 a year. They save roughly $30,000. That is a 12% savings rate, 12% on a $250,000 income. That sounds responsible. The average American personal saving rate today sits around 4%. Claire and Daniel are doing 3 times better than average. They feel financially solid, they look financially solid, but there is one number they have never calculated, and it changes everything. In 1998, 3 finance professors at Trinity University published a paper that became the foundation of modern retirement planning. Their research established what is now called the 25 times rule. To retire sustainably, you need a portfolio equal to 25 times your annual spending. Withdraw 4% in year 1, adjust for inflation each year after that, and you have historically had a better than 95% chance of not running out of money over a 30-year retirement. Run that on Claire and Daniel. They spend $220,000 a year. Multiply by 25. Their freedom number, the total portfolio required before they can permanently stop working, is $5.5 million. At $30,000 saved per year, compounding at a real return of 7%, reaching $5.5 million, takes approximately 39 years. 39 years on a $250,000 income. Not because they are failing, because the freedom number they built is so far away it will still be there when they are in their 60s. The income is not the problem. The finish line they constructed is the problem. And most high earners never calculate it. If this kind of math resonates with you, this is Sarah's Money Map. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. 0 cost, and it might change a few very large decisions you are about to make. Now let's look at Priya and James. They earn $150,000 combined. No one is writing articles about that income level as a ticket to early retirement. But early in their careers, Priya and James made one structural decision. They drew a spending ceiling. They capped their lifestyle at $90,000 a year. Not a Spartan existence, a comfortable one. They own a home. They travel most years. They eat well. The decision was simply that the income above $90,000 did not need to become more lifestyle. It needed to become portfolio. They saved $60,000 per year, a 40% savings rate. Their freedom number, 90,000 times 25 is $2.25 million, less than half of Claire and Daniel's target. As $60,000 saved per year, compounding at 7%, they reached $2.25 million in approximately 19 years. 19 versus 39. Priya and James are financially free before Claire and Daniel are even halfway to their number, and they do it on 60% of the income. I want you to hold those two timelines while I show you what this looks like. Picture two lines on a graph. The horizontal axis is time in years. The vertical axis is progress toward each couple's freedom number, measured as a percentage from 0 to 100. Both lines start at 0 on the left. Year 1, both are climbing slowly. Same general direction. By year 5, Priya and James's line is pulling ahead. The angle is steeper. By year 10, the distance between the two lines is clearly visible. Priya and James are approaching 50% of their target. Claire and Daniel are just above 20% of theirs. By year 15, Priya and James are nearing 80%. Claire and Daniel have not yet crossed 35. Year 20, Priya and James touch 100. Their line stops. Done. Claire and Daniel's line is still climbing. It will not reach 100 for another 19 years. Same starting point on the left, two completely different ending points on the right. That is the gap equation in one picture. So what exactly is the gap equation? Wealth is not the height of your income. It is the width of the gap between your income and your spending, measured against the distance to your freedom number. Claire and Daniel have a $100,000 annual gap. Priya and James have a $60,000 gap. In absolute dollars, Claire and Daniel save more every year. That is the part most people stop at. But the gap only matters relative to the target it is closing. Claire and Daniel's $100,000 gap is attacking a $5.5 million target. That is roughly 1.8% annual progress before investment returns apply. Priya and James's $60,000 gap is attacking a $2.25 million target. That is roughly 2.7% annual progress before returns. Priya and James are covering more ground per year, faster, on less income. Not because they earn less, because they engineered a smaller mountain to climb. The gap equation has two variables. Widen the gap, shrink the freedom number. Priya and James moved both in the right direction. Claire and Daniel moved neither. That is the only scoreboard that determines when you get to leave. Now you might be thinking, of course, Priya and James spend less. They earn less. They do not have a choice. But that misses what is actually happening. A household earning $150,000 that spends $90,000 is choosing actively to not spend $60,000 that is available to them every year. That is a structural decision. They drew the spending ceiling and held it there as income grew. That choice is exactly what most high earners never make. The harder objection is that a $250,000 income carries real mandatory costs that a lower income does not. Higher taxes, mortgage pressure, neighborhood dynamics around school choices. Some of that is legitimate, but researcher P. Adini, who analyzed the relationship between savings rate and retirement timeline across thousands of scenarios, found that shifting from a 12% savings rate to a 25% savings rate alone cuts roughly 11 years from the working timeline, not by earning more, by redirecting spending that was already available. Most of what feels mandatory in a high-income lifestyle was added one upgrade at a time. It can be examined the same way. There is one more layer Claire and Daniel are not accounting for. Their freedom number is not just large. It is growing more expensive to maintain. When you spend $220,000 per year, every fixed cost you carry assumes that income continues. The mortgage needs it. The tuition needs it. The cores need it. Every year of delay entrenches the infrastructure. The life becomes harder to unwind. Priya and James built a life that costs $90,000. Their freedom costs less because the life costs less. They did not sacrifice 20 years of good living. They just did not build the cage. So where are these two couples at year 20? Priya and James have crossed $2.25 million in their portfolio. James hands in his notice on a Thursday. Priya takes 6 weeks before deciding she wants to keep working, just differently, part-time. The consulting project she actually cares about. Her terms, not the firm's schedule. That is what the gap equation bought, not a stripped-down retirement. Options. The ability to choose how the next chapter runs on their own clock. Claire and Daniel at year 20 have approximately $1.2 million saved. Real, meaningful money. But their freedom number is 5.5 million. They are at 22% of the goal. 19 more years ahead of them. Not struggling. Not irresponsible. Just still inside a race that Priya and James finished and walked away from. If you want to run this for your own situation, here is the protocol. Step 1 is to look at your actual spending from the last 12 months. Not your budget. Not your income. What actually left your accounts. Step 2 is to multiply that number by 25. That is your freedom number. Step 3 is to calculate your savings rate. Annual savings divided by annual take-home income, expressed as a percentage. Step 4 is to map that rate to the timeline it implies. At 12%, you are looking at roughly 35 to 40 years. At 25%, approximately 27 years. At 40%, around 19 years. At 50%, roughly 15. The income level does not change these numbers. Only the rate does. For most households, the gap between a 12% and a 40% savings rate is not a gap in income. It is a gap in where the spending ceiling sits. Here's what the gap equation is really saying underneath the math. Every dollar you redirect from spending to saving does two things simultaneously. It moves you faster toward the finish line, and it moves the finish line closer. That double effect is not additive. It is compounding acceleration. What it buys is not a balance in an account. It is years that belong to you. Years when you work because the work is worth doing, not because the mortgage requires it. Years when you can say no to the wrong room without financial terror. Claire and Daniel will retire eventually, but the years that Priya and James spent doing exactly what they chose on their own terms will be gone. That is the cost of the wrong equation. The gap equation is not a spending restriction. It is a purchase. You are buying time. And time is the only asset that no income level can earn back. I want to hear from you. Run those 4 stats right now and drop your savings rate in the comments. Just the percentage. No income needed, no net worth. Let's see where people are actually starting from. I will see you in the next one. Not financial advice. This video is made for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. Some voice or visual elements may be AI assisted, with final review and editing by me, Sarah.